I made a YouTube community post about 5 hours ago explaining how I absolutely loved the BG's store changes and that I've seen many complaints about it, and the people who are complaining, they have a right to complain, but I don't think that their complaints are valid. At least most of them. I think the BG store update was overall an absolute total success, and that there are a few things that people brought up about it that should be considered or reconsidered. I don't know exactly what the best word for it. Of course, your opinion is your opinion, but there are some things about this store that are being overlooked that are a massive positive. And I'm going to break down some of the arguments that I've seen about how the store buff was a failure and show you why I disagree with the arguments being shown. And this is a very different video for me, and I'm not entirely sure how it's gonna go, but we'll find out. Just don't kill me. A quick rule breakdown first. 1, I will only be talking about Paragon costs, as I am a Paragon player and therefore can only give good opinions on Paragon reward structure. There have been comments asking me about Thronebreaker prices, and I cannot give a valid answer to any questions on those, as I am not a Thronebreaker player. I will not be bringing relics into these discussions, as I do not have the greatest opinions on relics to begin with, and are not the most familiar with the rank-up materials and items you need for them. And thirdly, I will not be talking about the solo events or the circuit rewards, as those were unchanged and are still not even on the topic that we're talking about today to begin with. Argument number 1. The costs were not reduced enough. So, in the store, a lot of things were reduced. Almost everything. There were a few things that were left out that I'll get into later. But everything, well, not, as I just said, not everything, but a lot of things were reduced. Now, the question is, were they reduced enough? And for the most part, absolutely yes. We'll start with the most positive reduction, in my opinion, and for most people, and that is the rank 4 materials. The rank 4 materials, if you do not know, went from the price of 4,000 for a Paragon player to 1,000 for a Paragon player. If you max out the limit you can get from these for a week, you can receive a little more than 1 catalyst of each per week. And meaning you can get a full rank 4 from buying both the alpha and the basic catalysts in a little more than 2 weeks if you round it down. And this is honestly incredible. For early Paragon players and mid-tier Paragon players like myself, this is incredible. Not only did the price go down by 400% basically, or I don't even know if that's how you mathematically add that up, but it went from 4,000 to 1,000, it got an insane price reduction. It's basically 25% of the original price, is probably what I'm trying to say. And it's so valuable. 20,000 trophy tokens to get 1 of each catalyst and a little more is incredible for most Paragon players. Even for late game Paragon players, it's a very worthy buy. And I think they did a phenomenal job choosing the price of these rank 4 materials. The other thing that went down was 5% T5 class catalyst selectors. They went from 275 to 120. This is an incredible change. You got more than double their price reduction, and it's a very worthy buy as well if you need T5CC, which has been really easy to get lately from side quests and other general places. But since they're in such small selectors, you can get these every once in a while, and I think it's a very good deal. Outside of the relics, this is the 2 main price reductions that came with the store. And I know they reduced tier 2 alpha a little bit, but it's by like 20, so I'm not really going to talk about it. But if you're complaining about the reductions not being enough, you're getting rank 4 materials so much easier than you will anywhere else. If you look at the side quest, you get barely 1 catalyst a month. And I honestly can't even say for certain if you do get 1 catalyst a month. and you're getting one full one per week by playing the BGs, by buying out the BG store. And I know 20,000 a week isn't something everyone can get to, but you can get pretty close generally, I'd say. I used to always buy out the 6-star shards, which is 13,000. I could do that fairly easily, so getting to 20,000 a week is not that difficult, especially if you have an alliance that plays the mode a lot. Argument 2, and this is the one I really wanted to talk about in this video, and that's that people are saying that the items that did not get a price reduction needed a price reduction. And this boils down to two main items, being the 6-star shards and the Sig Stones. And starting with the 6-star shards, the price was completely fine. In fact, it was honestly one of the best values in the old store to begin with. It did not deserve a tune-up in the price going down. It was absolutely amazing to start with and did not need a change, and I don't think it deserved a change. So I've heard a lot of people saying in my comments that because the price didn't go down, it makes them one of the least valuable things in the store. And that's completely not true. The goal of buffing the store is not to make everything better, it's to make everything valuable. The shards and the Sig Stones were and are valuable now, and they did not need a buff, because that's not the goal of buffing the store. As I just said, the goal of buffing the store is to make everything valuable, not to make everything better. And the shards and the Sigs are valuable, meaning they accomplished their goal, because the shards and the Sigs are still a worthy buy. 50 Sig Stones for 18,000 trophy tokens is not bad at all. Another thing we have to bring up is that Sig Stones are one of the hardest items to get in day-to-day content. In side quests, they are unbelievably hard to get a good amount of. The best places to get Sig Stones are in monetary offers, and not everyone wants to get Sig Stones through monetary offers. And the best way to get Sig Stones now, by far, is through this BG store. If you look at the side quests, you get like 10 generic a month, maybe a little bit more. And I know there are also crystals coming from the side quest, but we're talking generics here, and there is not even close to an easier way to get them than by using the BG store. And again, 18,000 is something you can do weekly if you do all of the solo objectives, which isn't hard, and play in an alliance that likes to play BGs. It's something that is very easy to, I'm not going to say it's very easy to do, but very, very manageable to do. And back to the topic about 6-star shards, you get maybe 20,000 from Paragon difficulty in the side quest now. You can get 30,000 a week from 13,000, which is really easy to get in a week, if I'm being entirely honest. So I'm not going to sugarcoat that one. But, 30,000 6-star shards, 13,000 tokens every week. That's incredible. There's no better way in the entire game to get 6-star shards than that. And it's so easy to do, and it's so valuable even with the store getting a buff in other areas. Just because everything else got buffed does not mean that it's at the bottom of the barrel of the store anymore. And I'm going to finish off with what I said earlier. The goal of buffing the store is not to make everything better, it's to make everything valued at what it is should be valued at. The third argument I've heard people bring up, and it's something I'm actually surprised has been brought up this much, is that the AW delays should have given a spicier store to compensate for AW being gone for an extended period of time. Now for this topic, I'm going to refer to this comment that was made here. And it says, so with this store and without the War Season rewards, do you think this is good? So I responded to this question by saying, War being gone is being compensated in the solo events. The solo events and the store are two completely different things. Now, when AW was delayed, Kabam decided to make up for it by buffing the solo events. And they made it clear that the store is not getting buffed because of the AW issue. And it shouldn't be, because the AW issue is temporary, and the store is getting a permanent buff here. So that wouldn't make sense for them to change the store because of the AW issues, and then change it back later when the solo event is so much easier to change than the store. I continued with saying, since these are two different things, and the one I'm talking about in this post is the store, which is hence unrelated to war, your argument doesn't mean much in this context. Does that mean I'm satisfied with the solo event? It doesn't. However, it's a topic I didn't bring up and has no effect on my opinions on the store. What I'm saying here is that whether or not the solo event compensates for war is a completely different topic than what I've been talking about. Whether or not the solo event makes up for war being gone doesn't affect how good the store's changes were. Did the solo event make up for war being gone? I honestly can't say yes or no. I haven't really thought that much about how good the changes are. And again, it's just not a topic I really want to talk about here. And this is the response I was given, and I really don't think I'm gonna reply, because I just don't know what exactly I'm gonna say, because it's just not something I've thought about, and I don't really have strong opinions on what the compensation, on whether it's good or not. I just don't have good opinions on that. On to argument 4. The 7-star shards price is a joke. Now this is one that isn't necessarily right or wrong, because, well, all of these are opinions, but this one is very much depending on your perspective. A 7-star shard hunter should be very excited about the price for these shards, because 7-star shards are not easy to get. The best way to get them is by duping your 6 stars. Someone told me that doing the math, if you spent 13,000 tokens on 6-star shards and 13,000 tokens on 7-star shards, the only time that getting the 6-star shards would be more worth it is if one of those 6 stars was a max sig crystal. And this is saying that if you buy out all the 7-star shards, or you buy out all the 6-star shards, the only way that buying the 7-star shards is worse is if those 30,000 shards you get from the 6-star shards in the store have at least one max sig. So if you are hunting 7-star shards, this is actually a really valid buy, because this is going to be the easiest way that you can get those 7-star shards. Now, if you aren't hard focused on 7-star champs, then you should probably buy something else, because why would you want 7-star shards if you're not heavily focused on 7-star champs? Maybe you're in the middle where you want 7 stars and 6 stars at the same time. Should you buy the 7-star shards? It's really up to you. I'm not going to say that it's a great price, but I don't think it's an unworthy price either. I think that getting it is a fine choice, and not getting it is a fine choice as well. And I think this is one of the items in the store that would be really nice if we had a 9th progression title for. Something to separate Paragon from the highest of the highest level of the game. Because you've got early game Paragons with just their 3 rank 4s, you have mid game Paragons like me with trying to get to 15 rank 4s, and then you have the highest in the game with 60 plus rank 4s, probably realistically the highest of the game has 50 plus, but what I think would be best is if they had another progression title to where the 7-star shards stay the same price for the lower tier Paragons, and maybe drop down to let's say 1,300. I think that sounds good. Maybe a little higher than that. Honestly, the 7-star shards are still very valuable for a mid-tier player and mid-tier Paragon, in my opinion. And then for the highest tier players with 50 plus rank 4s, 60 plus rank 4s, the price can go down to that 700 range. Probably sounds pretty nice, in my opinion. for the highest tier players. Yeah, I think I'd do 700 for the highest in the game, and then do like maybe 1300 or a little higher for the mid-tier Paragons. Which, it's totally your opinion, but like, I still think the price for these are completely fine. They could be worse, they could be better. It's really not that big a deal, the price on the 7-star shards. And honestly, the same argument can be made about the T6CC. The T6CC is very, very different in price range for an early Paragon, a mid Paragon, and a highest tier player. I think that the value of the T6CC for a mid-tier player is more valuable than the 7-star shards. And I do think that buying T6 is a very, very worthy buy if you're a mid-tier Paragon, but again, that's up to you, that's up to your needs, that's up to your focus on the game, and it really depends, and I really hope that we get another progression title soon that will help maybe balance out what some of the prices would be, because again, a low-tier Paragon, a mid-tier Paragon, and a highest level of the game player are very, very different things. Argument 5 is that Kabam can't get anything right, and obviously this is an argument that is brought up everywhere by so many people, and it's just flat outright invalid. There are so many things that Kabam do right that we just don't acknowledge. Changing the scoring in Battlegrounds was a generally positive change for most players. For the bigger rosters, it might be a less positive change, but I think for everything else in the game, the scoring changes are amazing. The store changes are also amazing. People are overhating the store changes that came out here. Everything that was reduced to a level where I think it's worthy of buying or close to worthy of buying. And depending on where you are on the Paragon spectrum, it could be different, as I brought up in my last argument. But everything that was changed for the absolute positive. Everything that wasn't changed was good already and is still amazing. So you shouldn't complain about something not getting buffed. And honestly, Kabam does such a good job most of the time with so many different things. We don't give them credit as much as we need to. Yeah, of course, there are some things they do that are wrong, that we don't like. Some are valid that we don't like. But overall, Kabam, they do a really solid job with most of the things they do in the game. And shouldn't be yelled at as often as they do. So I hope that this clarifies a lot of the problems I've heard with the BG store and why it's actually a really positive change. And I hope that players acknowledge that Kabam did a good job, because I think they did. Thanks for watching.